The Perceptual Shift Show. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Welcome back to the Perceptual Shift Podcast. I'm James Quine, author of The Perceptual Shift. And this is my brother,
Robbie Quine, and I am also a perceptual shifter, as well as being the elder brother of this author over here.
Life Lover too?
Life lover.
Okay.
Ow.
Yeah, this show is all about how shifting your perspective can help you love your life and create a life full of joy, meaning, and abundance.
Lots of abundance.
That's
Let's
right.
not be skimpy on the abundance. Be open to receive.
Today's episode is really special because we're not only talking about what it means to thrive, even when life throws challenges your way, but we also have a wonderful guest today joining us, sharing her story of wisdom, someone who lives the practices that we talk about in the book, and in a way that inspires everyone around her, Haley.
Definitely.
Right? But before we get started, let's have some fun and play our intro song. Are you ready to do it?
I'm ready to interface with the perceptual shift vibration.
Here we go.
1.
Welcome to the Shift Show. Get ready for the mind flow. You're going to see the world in a brand new way. Show you how to love life. Eliminate your strife. You'll manifest all that you desire. The Perceptual Shift Show. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Right on. A little late on that, bro. And now it's time to introduce our very special guest and personal friend of ours, Haley Celeste Miller. Thank you for being here. A wife, mother, entrepreneur, and radiant soul who truly embodies what it means to love your life. On her own page, Haley writes, and I love this, believe in your heart that something wonderful is about to happen. Love your life. Wake every morning with the awe of just being alive. Explore and embrace life in yourself and in everyone you see each and every day. Create your own rainbows. Be open to all possibilities and always, always believe in miracles. I love that, Haley. And that's exactly who she is, someone who lives by those words, even in the face of life's challenges. And we've had them. The line of fire, lots of other challenges in our lives, for sure, and inspires others to do just the same. You've learned how to thrive, to find joy and abundance in yourself and in your family, and to bring light into the lives of everybody around you, including me and Robbie. So, Haley, welcome and thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be here with us today. It means a lot to us. So, without further ado, let's get into some questions.
Awesome.
By the way, how you doing today, Robbie?
Pretty good.
Okay, good.
I'm glad to be here with you guys.
All right.
Perceptual shifters.
Right on. All right, here's a quote from the book. Family, cultural, and past experiences influence your perceptions. Recognizing and challenging these internalized opinions and attitudes allows you to craft a healthier, more empowering narrative that better aligns with your true self, who you aspire to be. So tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up with both of your parents. I know they were struggling with their own challenges when you were young, and how that shaped, defined, and also kind of led you in the direction that you went in your life.
I think for most of my teenage years, 20s, it was just filled with massive resentments and why, and not understanding how you could have these 3 healthy, beautiful kids and not be available emotionally, physically, mentally. And so I held on to a lot of those resentments. And now, it shifts. Everything perceptual shifts. I've learned some things. I've been through some experiences that have opened me up to have compassion for all the challenges that we went through, and also, understanding that we're all just doing the best we can with what we have and the knowledge that we have. And it goes so close to your quote that you just shared, recognizing and challenging these internalized opinions, because how I grew up gave me the worldview of life is hard and everything is hard and suffering, that's just a part of being human. And these are just the cards I was dealt. And I think that, as you grow and as you humble yourself, the world would have told me, it was okay to end up on the street somewhere, just with how we grew up, the mindset of my parents and how they raised us. It was very much about them, about not expansiveness, not transformation. It was hardship, never enough money, poverty, homelessness. Like, there are so many things that embodied my childhood that was suffering. And so
Scary, definitely scary.
yeah. And so a big part of my thought process was just everything had to be hard.
Which is like a fear-based mentality
And
too.
poverty-based,
Right.
It's survival mode sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely that brain was kicked on of just surviving. That was my childhood, was to survive. Survival of the fittest.
Right. And so, like, evolving from there, like, was it overnight? Did you, like, what?
It has been a journey of a million experiences, and bringing people into my life that had what I saw, that you could have a different path, you could live a different way, you could speak a different truth, that I saw people that have come from hardship and were expansive as humans, they're living and loving and embracing their life. And I feel like I was pretty young, and I had a teacher, and he just loved his life. And I just remember hanging on to that possibility. Like, if there's someone out there that struggled and has happiness and has joy and has a job that they love, like, it can be possible,
Yeah.
So.
That brings us to the next question, because there's a passage in my book that says life is full of pivotal moments. You were talking about that one individual. Those brief, often unexpected instances when we pause, create space, and something clicks. Suddenly, we see things differently. These moments of clarity are the seeds of transformation. So, in taking you up.
Yeah. So there was one night where I was, my mom had been gone on a bender for a couple, I don't know, probably a few days. It felt like a long time as a kid,
It could have been 5 minutes, but it felt like 5 weeks.
Yeah. And I remember I had a journal entry from that night, just wanting her to be home, because I was with my sisters and I was just like needed her. And she came home. She had a very abusive boyfriend at the time, but they came home and I caught them doing drugs in the bathroom. And so I just booked it. That's the only way I knew how to handle or process anything. I would just run, escape, and I'd run. And that night they came home, they're all messed up. I just booked it out the door, and I started running until there was nothing left in me. Like,
Wait, how old were you?
I was 12.
Oof.
And I remember just running and running until there was nothing left. Like, my physical body couldn't push anymore. And I laid on the sidewalk and I just prayed, you just pray to this universal energy, whatever it may be. You don't know. Like, I was 12 years old. So I'm just like, help. That's all. Simple. Help.
Yeah, that's one of the best prayers in the world, just help. It's like, whether you're religious or not religious, it's just like, you need help from somewhere.
Yeah.
You just know you do. You cannot do it alone. Yeah. And that, for a lot of us, I mean, for you and for me, Robbie, recognizing that we can't do this by ourselves anymore, that we need to tap into that universal flow of love and life and get some guidance from there, right?
Something bigger than yourself.
Exactly.
And that's where it was at. Was my perception was so limited to my circumstances that there was nothing to grab onto, because it was just survival, and it was hardship and pain and all these, stories. And so, I laid there and I just basically helped. And it wasn't like, I don't know how to explain the experience, but it was just a message, and it was take care of your sisters. That was it. And it was so simple at the time, but I just knew, like, I got up and I knew that's what I had to do, was look after my sisters, whatever that took, whatever that looked like. I had no idea, but that was the only thing I had to focus on. And as I've grown, I look back to that moment so often because it changed the trajectory of my life. Like,
It gave you a purpose.
gave me a purpose.
Right. And when you're lost in that sea of confusion and you're purposeless, it's like being rudderless in a boat. You know, maybe the sail's full of wind and everything, but you can't control where you're going. And it gets very scary. When you have purpose, even to take care of an animal, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly you feel a lot more comfortable. At least I do, for sure.
Yeah.
Another quote is, the power of perception, your lens shapes reality. Changing how you view yourself, others, and the world opens the door of endless possibilities. Now, you've built a creative and entrepreneurial life. What gave you the courage to step outside of convention and create your own path? Because it's safe to work for somebody else. We know that. It's predictable. We get a paycheck, we show up, you know, somebody else tells us when and where and what to do. How did you come about that?
So as a child, I was often told, you know, like, you live in a fairy tale. That's not how the world works. And when I found entrepreneurship, it was like this, I'm like, whoa, like, there's the fairy tale, right? It's hard. I mean, there's moments where you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing and it's difficult and these challenges arise. But for me, it became of like, I have this one human experience. Like, what if I felt the difficulties of challenge, the difficulties of just what's the spectrum of being a human, you know, sadness, pain, joy, ecstasy. There's all these experiences that I feel we get to. I think that when I saw that you could have a different life and live a different way, I became obsessed, like obsessed with forging my own path, obsessed with reaching the, you know, just tapping into this human experience and like, what can I do? What does my body hold? What wisdom, what knowledge, what, you know, all the things. I feel like I can create whatever the fuck I want. And that's where entrepreneurship started for me, was this really exciting opportunity to not just be a walking dead. You know, that there's this quote that says, you know, so many people are dead, they just haven't realized it yet. And I think that you get into this function of like paying the bills and the house and the car and all these things where you're not actually experiencing life.
Well, I mean, that brings up the idea of change. And, you know, so many of us are scared of change. I still am scared of change. I mean, we all are. Like, oh, no, you're going to lose your house or lose your car or lose your boyfriend or your girlfriend or this or that. Or somebody said, you know, and immediately the thing that comes up is, I'm scared. I don't want to lose what I have that I like, that I don't want to give up, right? But how do you make space for other stuff that you might like unless you let go, right? And let the universe take that away. It's like this, there's this really nice poem that's called The Bike Ride. And it says, in one of the phrases of the bike ride, it says, and they're going to be incredible. And you're going to be so stoked to have these gifts. And then the universe is going to say, give them away. And you're going to go, what? And the universe is like, give them away to make room for more. And it's hard for us to remember that, because one of the things I've learned about being an entrepreneur is it is scary, certainly financially scary. I mean, even look at this podcast. You know, you start a podcast, there's no money coming in. There's money only going out, right? You're just spending money, and you're spending inordinate amounts of time on this project. But the beautiful thing is I get reminded, and tell me if this happens for you too. I get reminded that my purpose is to carry a message of hope and love and solidarity and community. And I see you giving so much of your life to build community with love. Would you agree with me?
Yeah.
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 So, I mean, that's the other opportunity that I've seen you embrace with your entrepreneurial stuff.
Yeah.
Friendship, love, true caring.
Yeah, and just sharing that there's a different way, and it's entrepreneurship is very much scary, and there's so many things that you face. And I think that's what's exciting is like you just get better. You know, I constantly am like, okay, messy action, day one or one day. And it's that mentality shift of like, yeah, it's going to be hard at first, just like you pick up anything. I mean, go ahead.
Wait. Day one or one day? What does that mean for the people listening?
So day one or one day is you're either going to start today or you're going to keep having it on this maybe island. This one day I'm going to do the podcast. This one day I'm going to
Start a business.
Yeah, start a business or whatever it may be. So adopting this day one or one day.
I love that. All right. Another quote. When you trust life, it starts to open in ways you couldn't imagine. That really goes hand in hand with what we were just talking about. So have you ever doubted yourself along the way? And if so, when and how do you find the trust to move through it? Because I doubt myself frequently, like multiple times a day. So do you ever doubt yourself, and what do you do? How do you handle that?
Gosh, all the time. And every aspect, you know, being a wife, a mother, entrepreneur, a child, there's so many areas. And I feel like most recently, you know, we went through this really life-altering experience where we lost not only our belongings, but like my identity. I held my identity in this place that I grew up with, the people that, you know, I've been surrounded with since I was a little kid. And I lost my business overnight. I lost so many things overnight. And so you didn't just see, you know, your town turn to ash. It's like my life felt like it was turned to ash. And so then I've never had insecurities or fear like I've experienced this past couple of years. And it's been really to overcome this mindset, you know, to go back to the simple truths of loving your life. And what does that look like? To be humbled, to like literally just shed all these truths that I've adopted over the years, all these beliefs that I've claimed as mine. You know, I felt like it just burned away with the fires, but what was left was this doubt and this fear. And after years and years of working on that, you know, here it is. It's so loud.
Wow. Yeah. It's unbelievable how suddenly you live in this facade that you're fine and you've overcome all of that and you're not fear-based and you have this incredible attitude. And then, you know, a child dies or you lose your home or you lose your possessions or your job or you get a life-threatening illness or, you know, and suddenly you realize I was on shakier ground than I thought I was.
So 100%. And it's definitely been awesome to really face yourself in a new light, you know?
Did it feel like at first it was just obstacle, and then you started beginning to realize that the obstacle might just be an opportunity?
Yep. Yes.
And what is it an opportunity to do? What was it, you know, how did you see that?
Me, it took the place of like, okay, like how I kind of shared earlier, you know, this one human experience, it was so loud of why am I so afraid to grieve? Like, why am I so afraid to lose everything that I've worked so hard for? Why am I having all these fears? And then, you know, it just builds and builds and builds of like all the things that we've been taught, all the belief systems, all the programming, like all these things that you thought you released or let go of. It was just there, right? So I'm looking at all of that like, okay, well, really, if life ends tomorrow, everything's gone tomorrow, what really matters? Like, truly, and you know, you hear that, and it's cliche to say, it's like, you only have one life, you know, one day at a time, but to feel it, like, this is my one day.
So what was it that you came to? What matters?
Yeah, what matters is literally just the love that you share with people, the connection of humanity.
Yeah. Loving the world, loving yourself, loving life, loving your children, loving your family, loving your friends, loving strangers.
Yeah.
Outpouring of love, even in the face of people who are unloving, because those people need love.
Yeah.
That's why they're unloving, because they can't give the love to themselves.
They're wounded.
They are wounded. And it's like Marty says, hurt people hurt people, right? So
And heal people, heal people.
heal people, heal people. That's true. Or, I don't know if it's healed, because sometimes I think of that word of being like a complete state of mind, and I'm like, healing.
It's a work in progress.
Yes. Healing people help heal others.
Right.
Or healing people help other people heal. Right?
It's so
By
true.
modeling it.
Yeah. I just have to be careful that I don't get to the place where, like, I've reached the top of a mountain spiritually or emotionally, and I no longer need to evolve.
I've
It's like,
mastered it.
because I've been there before, and it's a lonely place on top of that hill.
I think
It's not real.
enter this like place of healing, you do get to that place. You're like, I'm healed, and then universe comes in. They're gonna
Kick your butt. That's right.
yeah.
That's right.
Bitch slap.
It's like, oh, you think you're healed? You really think you're healed?
That's kind of where that I adopted
figured out
that
the whole
idea.
thing.
Yeah, where
Right.
it's like, okay, like we never heal. Like we'll be dying healing.
You know what's interesting though is that what happens is we get better, and we're so excited about getting better.
Right.
It's like healing from cancer or
It's
whatever.
euphoric.
It's like,
Yeah.
and the doctor says you're in remission. And we're like, but I feel great. And then you tell everybody, drink lemon water. Whatever it is that you've done, and then you relapse again. So for me, and you can clarify if this is true for yourself, and I'd like to hear you too, Robbie. I do have emotional relapses on a regular basis. And I have to check myself, and I have to make amends, and I have to try harder. One of the things that I told somebody recently, actually it was in one of my life hacks on my Instagram, and life hacks was, you may be right. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing about you may be right is an admission that I may be wrong, or I may not be all the way right, or I may be missing some information. Or there might be a better way for me to interpret it. Or perhaps I need to look at it from your perspective. Because from their perspective, they're right. And it's a diffuser in an argument. It's not so much of a like, you win and I lose. It's more of like, I want to recognize that I'm imperfect.
It's kind of meeting in the middle, too. It takes away some of that.
It does. I've said you're right before, and somebody said to me, yes, I am right. And you're wrong. And I said, that could be a fact. It is a fact.
I'm right.
I'm like, okay, well, I'll give it to you. You're right. I'm wrong. I make mistakes, and, I appreciate you giving me some feedback along that. And if it really gets bad, I say, hang on 1 second. I need to use the restroom. And then I go in there and I connect with the universe. I need a moment to collect myself. And most of the time I will tell you what happens. I spend more time in that bathroom than I thought I did, because I was really needed to be in there. And I really needed to really decompress. And by the time I come out, they're like, hey, I'm sorry, I got to go,
Yeah, you gave it some
And the
space.
universe takes care of it for me, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm learning is like you can, mind fuck yourself so intensely to control and want things to be a specific way, and it should happen like this, and the universe just comes in and it's like, nope, like, or let me help you take care of this. It's so.
I think it's kind of loving to say that, too. Like, maybe you're right. It diffuses it. It softens it.
Yeah.
And it's got communication. Like, I'm open to communication. I don't bat 100,
Exactly.
Sometimes I'm totally wrong. Many times,
And that's
actually.
humility.
Yes, it is humility. It's like, I'm not Mr. Know-It-All.
Right? Okay, I know that we're on a time crunch.
Yeah.
Creativity is not, this is from my book, The Perceptual Shift also, creativity is not just an outlet, it's a way of aligning with possibility. How has creativity helped you open your doors, solve problems, or reimagine what's possible? And how do you, and this is the important question that I want you to answer, Haley, how do you encourage that same creativity that I see in you and all that you do in your children?
I think that going back to, I said it earlier, is we live in this box of our own imagination. You know, we create it. And that's been a huge, beautiful shift for me, is to realize that I am the creator. Like, I get to decide how I'm going to wake up today. Am I going to be in a mad mood, or am I going to be joyful, or, you know, whatever it may be. So with my kids, I hope, again, I don't know anything. I'm just, it's all just a creative masterpiece experience. I don't know. But with the kids, I'm always getting them outside. Like, I feel like being able to spot nature's creativity, the intricate designs, the flowers, the colors, like, it's so amazing. The creativity that went into creating the universe. And
Magical.
so when you step outside out of your little box of your life and your house and your job and your car and all the things, it's you see that there's it's bigger than us. And so bringing creativity into my home is just really getting the kids to, like, acknowledge, observe, be outside, pay attention to their surroundings. And
We're lucky we live in Maui, because that's a place where we can do a lot of that. A lot of people,
It checks a lot of the boxes.
I think it takes a lot more effort for parents to bring that to their children. It's not impossible, but it takes a lot more effort. But you can literally see the creativity in a head of lettuce, or, you know, a glass of water, or anything. You could drop one drop of dye in water and you can watch it in slow motion. It's magical, right?
There's a lot of sacred geometry, and it's all interface. It's connected. The sky, the sun.
I think it's just humility. I think as we grow, it's really easy to stop observing. And I think when you slow down and you pause and just witness your children, like, that is creativity. Your children's existence is
In the
creativity.
moment.
Yeah, being present with them and, like, whatever questions they have. Like, it doesn't always have to be. I am such an adventurous person, so I love being out in nature. But for the kids, and I probably instilled that in my kids as well. But even when we go on trips, you know, in the cold, in the middle of nowhere, Colorado, it's like there's still something to find.
You got the snow. You got all kinds of different things. It's chilly, but yeah, nice to visit.
Attention. I think, but yeah, creativity starts as a parent, just being in awe.
I definitely have seen you impart that in your children, watching the videos and stuff.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
So 3 more questions. Abundance isn't, and this is from the Perceptual Shift again. Abundance isn't just about material wealth. It's a way of thinking that invites more joy, love, and opportunities into your life. Do you agree with this idea, first of all? And if so, what are your greatest sources of abundance in your life?
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. You know, I did a post once and I had the kids out, you know, in kalo patches and the ocean, like, tell me you're rich without telling me you're rich. You know, it's that experience as a human. And for me, the greatest sources of abundance in my life today is being present. Like, for me, that is abundance, because for so long, I think probably being a kid and growing up in survival, you don't realize that what's in front of you, even you know, you guys are abundant. I've learned so much from just listening and witnessing you guys walk your own path. And I would say that has been the greatest source of abundance, is just being present with where I'm at, with loving, you know, my kids, and laughing at the small things that, for me, it's like, if I can laugh about it in 10 years, I'm going to laugh about it today.
Right? Rule 62, don't take yourself too seriously. That's right. And that's why they call the present a gift, right? Because it really is. It really is like the gift.
And it's really hard if you live in a, like, you know, it took me so long to get here. So it's not something that happened overnight. But
To get to the house here, to do this podcast?
To get to, yes.
Yes! So long!
It took me a long time. Yes, no, but to get to being present, and I'm out of it a lot, you know, but for me, I'm like, okay, 2 minutes. Like, I don't make it extreme. I don't make these extreme goals anymore. It's like just simple, like 2 minutes. Okay, I can do 2 minutes. And what happens is usually that compounds into 10 minutes, or a whole morning outside, or, you know, being present and
Manageable
chaos.
goals. We even talk about it in the book, you know, that it's so important to break it down into baby steps. Exactly, Robbie. we can get overwhelmed, and it can feel like we have a plate with all this abundance and wonderful stuff, but it's too full. And suddenly it starts sliding off the plate, and then we disappoint ourselves and we disappoint others around us.
Yeah.
Because they're just, that's the idea of giving away those gifts, right? Yeah. Sometimes. The last question, Haley. The quote is, your perceptual shift doesn't just transform your own life, it also influences those around you. By embodying your new perspective, you inspire others. So you have this joyful, optimistic way of being that seems to light up a room. I mean, it does light up a room. It doesn't seem to, it does. Part of it's your smile and your laughter.
These lights with Haley.
No, you don't even need any studio lights, right? So the question is, how do you share that energy and outlook with others? How do you inspire, support, and lift the people around you? And also, it's not on this card, but how do you do that without exhausting yourself?
That's a great question. How do I share that energy and outlook with others?
And you have a lot of people in your life, hundreds of people, thousands that you inspire.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that so much. I was like, I have 100 kids. Yes, there's like always somebody around me.
You do have 100 kids, don't you?
Basic.
God, you gave birth frequently.
So I'm in a place where I deflect a lot, this always continuously growing, and I'm realizing that I just love people. I do. I love people. I love their stories. I love their magic. I love miracles. And I love hearing where people have been. And maybe that's part of, being joyful and optimistic. Because I just feel like, universal creations are amazing and people are amazing, even in their bad parts, even in the bad spaces of their life. Wherever you come in, it's like they have a history and a story, and that makes them epic. And probably giving birth and miscarriage, it gives me this, life is really insanely potent, to be here. It takes so much. And then losing a baby, it's like, it's so common. Like, life can be...
It's still so devastating.
Yeah, common, devastating, and it's just this weird... It's weird. I feel like a woman going through that, you just are in your hormones, and you have so many experiences running through your body, But back to the question is, I think I just love people where they're at. I don't really have expectations for them to be anything more than where they are.
And when you get exhausted, how do you take care of yourself?
And lately, for me, I just keep things so simple where it's like, okay, I am being pulled always. And what does it look like what does Haley need? And that took a long time to get there. What do I need in this moment? For me, you're talking about going to the bathroom for a little bit. I always just hold on to my breath. Recently my son, he's like, they're fighting, and he looks at me, he's like, Mom, you're really patient. He saw me just take this big breath. He's like, I know you're patient, but I don't think I ever realized how patient. And we're cracking up. But I think it's just been okay, my breath, that's all I have. When I'm depleted and I can't really get out of this situation right this moment, I can't just peace out. It's okay, what do I have? What can I grab onto? And it's my breath. And I feel like that is
Right. And that's a form of loving yourself, breathing, just literally breathing. It's a form of meditation, but it's also a form of loving ourselves. It's like, I need a breath here. Yeah. I just need a breath.
Yeah, the breath of life.
Yeah.
And another hack for a mom, I have noise canceling headphones. I just blast the music and I get lost in my own little world and I dance it away, because I feel like physiology, when you're in those places, you need perceptual shifting. It's like changing your body. Your physiology is the first part of that. So my kids are like, yeah, I can see their mouths moving and I'm just living. I'm like, hi.
Yeah. And that is a survival strategy for parents. I remember my first son, he would have a rough time going to sleep And eventually, I would have to take him in the car, and he would be very upset getting in that car seat. But the car seat would put him to sleep, but he would be screaming at the top of his lungs. And I would just turn the music on loud enough that I would drown him out. And I'd listen to my music, and I could sort of hear some screaming back there, but it sounded like a crowd, maybe, yeah, go Aerosmith or whatever, And people would say, like, that's mean. And the reality is, just because our children or others are suffering around us does not mean we need to suffer with them.
Yeah.
And the headphones give you the ability to choose whether you want to suffer with them or not.
Yeah, like you said, the choice, you're constantly balancing the choice. And it's like, can I stand in the midst of chaos, which is my home sometimes, and be peaceful? Yeah,
Right.
I can. And, Robbie and you have been a huge part of that. I remember Robbie wrote a checkout line once, and it was in the just beginning stages of working through my stuff with my family. And Robbie's like, your parents gave you life. Like, they don't owe you anything more. And in that moment, I was like mind blown. I'm like, they didn't owe me shit. Like, they gave me life. Now it's my opportunity to do what I want, to be, create my own masterpiece.
Yeah. And what a masterpiece you've created. We're so grateful that you have spent your time with us. We really, really appreciate it. That's all the time we have. I know that you have to go. Thank you for sharing your story and for being so open and so honest about your journey, your willingness to share the real challenges of your life, as well as the joy and the abundance that you've created and shared with others, is such a powerful example for all of us. It means a lot. And it really is an example of perceptual shifting. You reminded us that in the face of hardship, we can still choose to let go, to trust, and to bring light into the lives of those around us. So we love you very much and so grateful that we had you here today. Have an awesome rest of your day.
Love you guys. I love you.
Awesome.
All right. Wow, that was great. I really love her.
Haley Bravo is a perceptual shifter and she walks her talk.
Oh, indeed. She's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Haley as much as we did. Her story is such a beautiful reminder that we all have the power to see life differently, to let go of what we can't control, to trust in what's possible, and to share our light with the world.
Yes. Very heartwarming.
Very heartwarming. So I invite you, if you're listening, to take a moment today to think about how you can shift your perspective, even in a small way. And remember, your past does not define you, but your perception of it really does. Oh, and remember this, if you want to join the Perceptual Shifters, you can get my book, The Perceptual Shift, at Amazon.com. You can also check out my life hacks and see more about shifting on Instagram and TikTok at James M. Quine. And anything else?
I love the life hacks.
I love the life hacks too. Yeah. And if you like the show, you can go ahead and hit like or subscribe to, get the notifications when the next show's coming out. But before we leave you, as usual, we're going to do an outro song.
Right.
Are you ready, bro?
We're not going to leave you high and dry.
No.
We're going to go out rocking.
We are. Because hobbies and recreations
are mandatory.
Right. So have fun in life.
You
We're
got to
gonna do
have
that
fun.
right now.
Make room to have some fun and enjoy your life. And it's okay to be silly, too.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we're going to demonstrate some silliness right now. Rock and
go.
roll silliness for your eating pleasure.
Now you've heard the Shift Show. Hope you got your mind blown. We'll be back next week with more to say. And if you are a seeker, buy the book, dig deeper. Take what you like and now go out and play. The Perceptual Shift Show. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Jesus Christ.
The slowest tambourine.
All right. The Perceptual Shift Show. Whoa, whoa, whoa.